Did you?
We, if you want, we could split up technology one and two, I guess. It's the
All right.
really, really, and then who wants to ask the wild card?
I can do that. I don't mind.
All right.
I think she was a fast talker though, so we might have to add more.
How long does it have to be? 30?
30, at least 30.
Okay.
If you want to, you could pause your things so they don't have 6 minutes of us just shooting the shit.
That would be smart. Pause. Okay, now the video is recording. I think Frank wanted to start us off.
Right. So, Kaya, what's your job title at your company?
Yes, I am a pre-construction manager for the Penta Building Group in Arizona.
And how long have you been with Penta?
I have been with Penta for a year and like 9 months now, I think. I was an estimator for the first like year and a half, and then I got promoted pre-con.
How long have you been in the construction industry in general?
Um, with a GC, I've only been with Penta, so almost 2 years now, but I worked in architecture previously, and then I started in when I graduated high school, basically, so like 2018. And then I worked in architecture for all 5 years, and then almost a year after graduating. So almost like 7 years now.
Nice. And then with Penta, are you assigned to, or do you do your stuff mainly at the office, or do you go out to the site, or a combination of both?
I do everything from the office as a pre-con manager. But I was previously a superintendent for Penta, and so I would report to the field every day. And then the only time that I really report to the field is if there is a job walk. And typically it's for, ground up or TI. So it's not necessarily like full PPE. It's just more so to get knowledge of the project and understand what we're actually bidding to.
Okay, thank you.
Can you identify two technologies or programs you guys use at Penta?
Yeah, we use Building Connected is our biggest one. That's what we push out all of our bids on. That's how we stay in contact with our subcontractors, push out messaging to them. We'll upload files to there. It's a good communication platform that everybody can use from different companies, which is really nice. We can also communicate amongst our Penta team. Internally or with our subcontractors also copied on things, which is really nice. And it also has everybody's contact on there. So if I don't know a subcontractor personally, it'll have their phone number or their email, so I can always get a hold of them. The second one we use a lot is Bluebeam, for coordination purposes, takeoffs, Bluebeam sessions, notes on drawings, things like that.
Do you use do you are these things that you use yourself or is in like all the whole company?
These are like Penta. We do use these softwares throughout Penta. But I mean, I use them on the daily. Our interns will use them too to like help us. And then the other thing we use a lot is Excel, so Microsoft. And then we do all of our estimates in Excel. It's just a Penta specific coded. So like we'll take our takeoffs from Bluebeam and then put them into our Penta software, and then we'll do our estimating that way. Um, so I guess that's three softwares, but they all go hand in hand.
Just to jump in quickly, I have a question. Remembering the last time when you said your Excel is Penta coded, can you give us a couple of examples that are specific to Penta, with how they've coded their Excel?
Yeah. So our Penta coded Excel is done by somebody in-house. He's actually a pre-construction executive based out of Vegas. He has good knowledge of coding, and so he basically codes our entire software to make sure that everything can be easily accessible, that we don't have to go anywhere else other than our estimate. So what that means is like at the top, it'll list every subcontractor that's on that job that we've invited. It's smart enough to know like who those people are, if they're bidding, if they decline to bid, if they've already submitted a bid. The other thing that it does is it tells us if they're pre-qualified, which means that if they're qualified to actually do the work, whether that be manpower, backlog, things like that. It'll tell us when their subcontractor name pops up. It'll say like pre-qual status, and then it'll say like approved to work, needs management approval. It'll tell us like if the job is too big, too small for like their capacity, things like that, which is really cool. Because we have that in a separate software. But estimators don't typically go in that. It's mainly for project managers. So that's really cool. And then it'll do estimating things, like calculate the totals, and if we write alternate in it, it'll pull it out and put it into a separate bucket. If we put a sub plug on it, it'll turn it yellow. If we put a GC plug on it, it'll turn it purple. If we write excluded, it'll highlight it orange and be like, it's excluded, like make sure you look at this. So it's like it's really pentacoded, and it's a standard across our pre-construction team. So it's really easy because everybody knows how to use it. And if you jump into an Excel, it's, it's all the same, like all the colors are the same. So it's really intuitive to use since everybody knows how to use it.
Awesome. Thank you. Sorry, I was getting back to my unmute. That sounds like pretty cohesive throughout the company. So you would say if someone learns, let's say they're in field, they would be able to read a pre-construction Excel sheet because it's all color coded the same way. That's really awesome.
Yeah. They're not necessarily in it every day. And so in that case, we do a handoff meeting too from pre-construction to operations. And we tell them like, hey, this is purple, so like take a look at that. Hey, this is yellow, take a look at that. But they know what everything means, which is really nice.
Okay, awesome. Sammy, did you have some more questions?
Well, like if we're going back to the other plugins if you've been using, is there things that you like about them versus disliking?
I mean, like I said about Building Connected, it's just really nice because everybody's on that platform and you have contacts for everybody. It's super easy. I don't have to send out like 15,000 emails for one project to subcontractors. Building Connected will send them messages direct. So I can just hit send once and I don't have to worry about it. Everybody's on that email that wants to be on it. Because if they decline, then they're automatically opted out of all of the emails, which is nice. So like I don't have to do anything personally to like delete them from my emails and things like that. That's really nice. The other thing that's nice is that it'll constantly give them updates like, hey, Kaya uploaded a new drawing package. Hey, Kaya, updated her bid form. Yeah, so that's super nice. And then we put in at Penta, we detail everything out. So if we need a wall to come down, like what does that entail? That entails ceiling, base, flooring, paint, that demo, like that's a lot of things. We scope all of those out for all of our subcontractors. So then when they submit a bid, they basically go through our list and I was like, yes, I have, patch and repair for that. No, I don't have that. No, I don't have floor prep. And then we can level them apples to apples without even having to really dig in deep, like just very superficially, like, okay, this subcontractor has that, this subcontractor does not have that. So we need to, look at that. We need to get an ad from them. So it's really easy to level across the board. Obviously, we do more than just look at that. We actually go in and look at their proposals and look at everything else to verify everything. But that's super nice too, because it'll give you that leveling right off the bat. Which is nice. It's a good check, and then you go in and do more. So I really like Building Connected. I also really like the Excel sheet because it's Penta specific. And it's nice because nobody else can use that software. So I just think that that's really cool. It is obviously like if you go to a different if you came from a different company to Penta, you would not know how to use Penta specific software. So it is a learning curve for everybody. You do have to learn how to do that. But once you know how to do it, it's super easy, which I really like too.
Do you ever use like visual aids where it's like you make like a drawing or something?
Like for subcontractors, you mean?
Yeah.
I actually do a lot and I'll do that in Bluebeam. like I said, I went to architecture school, so design is like kind of my first thing that I look at, and then I look at constructability and like what does this look like visually. So I'm very much a visual person because I think because I went to architecture school, but yeah, I'll go in and I'll be like, sometimes, a plan is not super specific or a section or something, and I'll be like, this is what it's supposed to look like, and I'll go in and like draw that and I'll submit it on like Building Connected as a sketch. So it's not necessarily like a bidding document, but it's like a visual aid that helps them. That's what I do mainly. Not everybody does that in the office. I just do that only when like a subcontractor needs more explaining or needs help like visualizing something.
It's really awesome that you can kind of be a part of the design as well with your background. That's really fun. Um, I have a question, and I do remember us touching on this in our last meeting of the ways AI is used and how you guys use AI. I know a little bit of possibly your Excel is a little bit of AI used. Am I right or am I wrong with that?
Yeah, I mean a little bit. It's coded by that one person.
Mm,
So it's mainly just human coding, not so much AI.
okay.
We have started to use AI in our takeoff softwares. Not everybody uses Bluebeam. We're actually doing we have another thing called Construct Connect. And that's a takeoff software and it has some AI capabilities. From what I've seen, it's not great. It definitely needs some work. We're also trialing two other takeoff softwares that use a lot more AI. Again, from what I've heard, I don't use them personally. I'm not typically doing takeoffs anymore, but from what I have heard, it's still not perfect. Like we are constantly emailing the trial company and being like, this doesn't work. I can't do this. You need to fix this because it's not going to work if we can't do this. So, again, like, yes, we use it, but we do have to fact check it a lot, to make sure that it's correct. The other thing is like AI in terms of like budgeting. I think AI can maybe do like per square foot, maybe they might be, good, but I haven't seen that AI is super good at reading plans and specs thoroughly. It can kind of like pinpoint something, like if you need to look for something, it's good knowledge on that because it can find it super quickly. But I haven't found that it's like super useful to me yet. I'm hoping that it gets better because it would make my life a lot easier and it would probably make our jobs faster. But I haven't seen something that I'm like, yes, this AI software is super good. It works really well. It works 99% of the time. Like I haven't seen that yet. So I would love that, but I just haven't seen it yet.
Okay, good to know. And I think what you're saying a little bit is that if the AI could read the plans and specs, it would help tremendously, and we're just not there yet. Uh,
Yeah, and understand because architects are and designers design by hand on Revit. They are drawing it. So it's different architecture firms draw things different ways. And so AI would have to know, like, okay, for this architecture company, they draw something like this. They have this information here. And that would take a lot of trial and error too, because we're constantly working with different architects that draw different ways. We know their style, AI doesn't know their style because AI is not human. So, you
yeah.
know, that's something hard too. I don't know that even takeoffs would know how to do that. I don't know anything about AI or how to like I use AI, but like I use like Chat GPT on like, information that I'm just not Googling. Like I don't use it for like, go through this plan and count up all the corner guards. And then it would ask, what kind of corner guard, and I would be like, it looks like this, but then there's like three other corner guards. So I don't know. I don't know if it's capable of doing that yet.
Yeah, it's when you talk about it, it does make sense. There's so many different types of every component that go in. From just this is less of an interview question, but just with your architectural background, do you think that is there a specific way in which you design, like you were saying, that there are firms that design a little bit differently? Do you think from an architecture standpoint, if someone were to take that knowledge and put that into an AI, would that help read different styles of architecture? This is kind of a curveball, just curious of your opinion.
Probably, probably. I feel like if every architecture company like had an AI system, and then that AI system knew their system, then that would be good. Or like if every GC had like, okay, for the like AI, this is this company, so you need to read it like this because they draw things different ways. There's like different line weights, they'll put the finished schedule, they'll call it a finished legend or a finished schedule. Sometimes it's in the specs, sometimes it's in the drawings. Like I don't know that AI would know that without super repetitive looking at, this specific architecture firm's drawings and specs.
Gotcha.
Because AI is based on like, you know, knowing who you are because you ask things a lot and then it gets to know you and then it can build more information about you. So I
Mhm.
feel like it would need that. It would just need constant, like, okay, look at this drawing because it's the same company as this one, and then look at it again, and then, like one,
Just keep
only
it.
look at this architecture company and read it
Yeah.
basically.
That's really interesting idea, and I think it's a big conversation in the industry. To what we understand as students is a big conversation, is what we're being told of how we're going to be integrating it. So that's why I'm curious because you have more of an architecture background than a lot of people in the industry, I would assume. Um, but yeah, I'm hoping one day that we get to the point where we can just like hit go and let it estimate and do all that.
Yeah. I mean, it would definitely, I mean, I don't want it to take my job. I love my job, but
Yeah.
if it could save me some time, that would be really good because like
Consistent.
I said in the last interview, Diego, who goes to ASU and is also a senior, he's graduating in May, but like he does all my takeoffs for me,
Mm,
if he did the takeoffs versus I would check it the same way.
yeah.
So to me, it's like whether Diego does it or another intern or an estimator or AI, like I'm still gonna check it because our risk is on the line. Like
Yeah.
I'm not gonna let AI tell me, you
What
know.
is the measure twice, cut once?
Yeah, exactly.
You gotta live by that. Oh, that's
Yes.
funny. So, since you're talking about students with Diego, I'll kind of segue in that direction. Is there any advice, especially you could give us directly, since we're in a construction technology class, of something that we should like leave college with? I know there's a lot of information that's thrown at us in industry, which you've probably learned it's very different. You could learn all the textbook stuff, but
Mhm.
what's one thing that we could take out of technology in your
Um,
opinion?
I would say just to be open to it, honestly, because everybody's gonna use something different. Everybody's gonna think a different way. So every company is gonna be like, oh, we like this software because of this. Oh, we like this software because of that. Like no software is gonna be perfect, and just take it and learn it. And the more you know about it and the more that you know that it's progressing and that it's gonna change. Like you're not gonna be able to stay in one software forever. Even in my, internship, I went from like so we went from Revit renders to like these other softwares, and then it was like more AI softwares. Like even in the time that I was an intern in an architecture firm, we went through like 3 to 5 rendering softwares because it's constantly evolving. So just, take it, and as soon as you change, don't get too hooked on it because it will change. Technology is constantly improving, so just take it and run with it. Honestly, that's my biggest advice when it comes to technology, and I have to tell myself that too. Like we're in the process of also trying to figure out if we move away from Excel from our way away from our Penta coded Excel and move into like an actual software that will give us more AI capabilities because somebody else is running it that's not in-house. And in that case, like people that have been with Penta for 20 plus years are like, what? I've been using this for 20 plus years. Like, what are we doing? And it's like, yeah, it's constantly evolving. Like we just have to be ready for it to keep going because that's where it's leaning towards. It's not going to stop.
Yeah, that is a really good point of just kind of being able to learn the new ones because I feel like a lot of the times we've been as a junior, blue beam pushed at me, blue beam pushed at me, and now a lot of companies use it, but now I'm learning as we're doing these interviews and talking to people in industry, Bluebeam's used, but it's not the only thing. And so that's
Yeah.
why I was asking because I'm like, I feel like I've taken, and I bet Samantha and Frank would agree, like we know how to use Bluebeam coming out of this program, but is that going to be the forefront of our technology? And from what I'm
Don't
receiving from you,
know.
definitely it's up in the air.
I mean,
Yeah.
Penta itself has like 4 that are being run through right now. Like you just and you could go to a subcontractor and it could be different because, that subcontractor only does electrical and there's a whole different electrical software only for electrical. And then you move to a GC and the GC uses Bluebeam and then you move to another GC and that GC uses, Construct Connect. And you're like, well,
Yeah.
everybody uses something different because everybody's, like the way that they and executives and leadership see the company going, like that's all different for different companies. That's why there are different companies because everybody has a different trajectory. So yeah, you just got to be open to it and just be ready.
Ready to learn. Frank, did you want to chime in? I saw you unmuted for a moment.
Um, if you had to pick one technology to be familiar with, I would say just coming right out the gate, college, some of us being seniors and all, would you recommend, hey, get really good at or understand this specific technology or this program? Example, really understand how to use Navisworks or Revit or Bluebeam or something. That way, going into the field or going into the office, we have a better footing or more firm footing rather than, learning trial by error.
Right. So I would say that because I work in pre-con and I assume that if you're going into construction, you might be going into like the PE direction, which is what most people do. In that case, I would say like branding more so. Like most GCs use Procore and then Autodesk. Those are like the two big ones. So I would understand, like for me, we use Build, which is Autodesk in our field. So I learned Build as a superintendent, and that's completely different than the pre-con, which is building connected. So it's completely different. So I would say if you could know one, know like a brand. And a lot of the time you're not going to know that until you like start working. Like, okay, I'm going to know all sides of I know all sides of Autodesk now. Like I'm good with Autodesk. But if I were to move and it was Procore, I would not know anything about it and then I would have to start all over. So I would say like know all sides of one brand. And then you're really good because then you're set and a lot of them are similar anyway. So if you know both sides, both pre-con and construction for one brand, then you can carry it throughout your career as opposed to like only knowing Bluebeam because that's like its own thing. So that's what I would
Okay,
say.
thank you.
You touched on Autodesk a little bit, so can I say if we were to come out with good Autodesk knowledge, that would be beneficial?
Yeah.
Okay.
Autodesk, I mean, like I said, the brand is like they all kind of do the same thing in a little bit of a different way. So if you can know like the branding of one, that's really good.
Sammy, do you have any more questions here? I know we're reaching that.
Um, this would be probably more personalized, but if you were to pick any of the programs you've talked about today, which one would be like your number one program that you would like take to the grave?
I love building connected. I I am a firm believer in building connected. I know that there's like other platforms that use something similar. I just love the way that Building Connected is set up. It's not the only thing I would say about Building Connected, like there's always a con in everything that we do because not everything's perfect. That's just the world that we live in. It can't be 100%. But like we did a JB and that company didn't have Penta emails. And so they couldn't see anything of ours. And then they don't have our licensing, so they couldn't do the same functionality as us. So it's like there's always a curveball going to be thrown at you. But like when I'm in Building Connected, I'm like, yes, this is my jam. I love Building Connected. Like, oh, it's just so good. And I'm constantly like, if somebody's like, oh, I need a contact, I don't go to my contact list. Like I go to Building Connected because I'm like, what company, what person, it's all right here. Like it's all in front of you. Everybody's information, which is kind of scary to say, but like everybody's information is on that. My information's on that, my picture's on that. Like you can see everything about everybody on there. But it's nice because you can just be like, I don't have to call the office to get this estimator's number, to get his email, to blah, 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 blah. It's like, takes too much time. Just go to Building Connected, look at his email him. It's perfect. It's so nice. It saves you 10 steps and 10 minutes.
I love it. That's so funny. Is that similar to, do you know the software Kahua?
No, you don't know.
Okay, I used it this past summer in my internship. I worked for a smaller public works company back near my hometown.
Nice.
But it sounds similar to what you're saying. Like everyone's information was there. You could
Mhm.
store all the documents like shared on there. Um, Now I'm curious. I hope I use it this summer in my internship to see what
Yeah.
Building Connected really does.
Yeah, it's I love building connected. That's my jam. I love it.
So funny. Let's see here. I do have a couple more questions for you. I apologize.
No, don't
For-
apologize. I put an hour on my calendar for this. I was
Okay.
like, just in case.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. I know we touched on the fact that you have kind of been like fast tracked into a leadership position. Am I correct on that, or am I?
I mean, I think it depends on the company. A year and a half, basically, a year and 8 months.
Okay. So clearly you've had a position where you've led a group of people. Can you just touch on that for us? Like things that you have learned, like a beneficial way to go. Maybe I'm wording that wrong. A way to go about being a leader without being in a more dominating position.
Yeah, totally. I would say for me, I've worked with interns a lot. But I think it's kind of nice because I'm closer to their age than I am to like upper leadership age. And so I feel like I can connect with them a lot more. And that's probably helped me in the, position that I'm in now. The other thing is just always saying yes. Like if you can't say yes because like you really can't, then, understood. But I just think like, Kaya, will you go? Like this is crazy, but like, Kaya, will you go? I know you're an estimator and I know you were hired as an estimator, but like, will you go be a superintendent? Like, I think everybody would be like, huh? No, what? What are you talking about? And I was like, okay, sure, whatever. Whatever you need, whatever will make the company successful, whatever. I'm a team player. Just be a team player, say yes. I also was put in a position to like run an event. I am in no way BD. I was not hired to do BD. That is not me. But they're like, Kaya, like, call our owners, call our subcontractors, call our architects, call our engineers. Like, we need a list. And, I'm just like, sure, whatever. And that's this weekend. I'm literally putting the whole event together. And it's been super fun. And I'm learning a different aspect of the company, which makes me more of an asset to the company, anyways, because I just know more and I'm willing to do more. Obviously, don't burn yourself out when you say yes. You're allowed to say no. That's why no is, an option. It's yes or no. But just be open to opportunities. Sometimes you don't know, you have a set path and you're like, no, this takes me off my path. But like sometimes those other branches of paths will lead you right back to your path, or it'll be like, no, like I actually love this path more. I'm going to go on this path. So I think every opportunity is a good one. So just take them. That's what led me, I think, to here. The other thing I would say is that just because your learning style is your learning style doesn't mean that that's everybody else's learning style. So getting to know the people that you work with can really help you be a good leader because you can't lead everybody the same way. And I think that has also helped, even amongst I think it's been 3 interns now that I've had under me. Um, they all are different. One person really liked being independent and I would just give them something. And even if they didn't know how to do it, I told them, here it is. Let me know when you're done. Let me know if you have questions. They are very, like, I don't want to be told what to do. I want to figure it out myself. Cool. I'm going to let you do that. Somebody else is like, I want to see step by step how you would do this, and then I'm going to copy it. Cool. Good with that. Somebody else is like, show me like, the basics of how to do this, and then I'll figure the rest out. Cool. Totally cool. Whatever will make the other person successful is how I think that you should be a leader. But that's just my leading style. Some people are like, no, like this is the way we do it. So I'm going to show you the way that I do it. That's what led me to this position. I think I'm a little bit more flexible because I'm like, I would consider myself still new to this position. I haven't even been here for 2 years yet. Some people have been in my position for 20 years, So I would say that I'm maybe a little bit more flexible, but just being open to everybody's learning, everybody's personality, because everybody's different. So I think that helps me be a good leader too.
Thank you for that. I feel like that's something that in our career is strictly group work, group projects, communication. So what I took out of that is, and I don't know about everyone else, but just kind of say yes and don't be scared of opportunity and don't be scared of relationships is
Mhm.
what I'm gathering. Okay, good to know.
Yeah, relationships is everything in
Yeah.
this.
So I'm learning in club life and school life. I feel like you can't get very far if you don't have friendships and relationships with people.
Yes, make those connections with, you know, people that work at GCs, with subcontractors, with architects, with owners, with engineers. Like you never know when you're gonna need them, when they're gonna need you, and they're gonna be like, "Oh, I remember I met so and so." Like, and then they'll draw that connection. And this whole thing is relationships. That's what I've learned. It's not about what you know, you can learn. It's about who you know, and that gets you a long way.
Good to know. Um, I think you've answered all of my questions, Frank and Sammy. Do you have any follow-up before we close out here?
I don't have any.
Okay. All right. Kaya, thank you so much for joining us again today. I apologize for taking more time out of your schedule.
Don't worry about it. I'm
But
happy to help.
thank you. I promise we got it recorded this time, so
Okay.
we won't have to do this again. But you have a wonderful weekend, and on my behalf, I'm looking forward to Girls on the Green with you guys.
Perfect. Yeah, I was gonna ask about that. Yeah, we have a good group coming. And like last year, we might have a couple more spots for ASU students. So
Okay.
I'll let Sophia know if that's the case. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's gonna be a good event.
Yeah, me too. I posted it yesterday, got everything up, and we're already full.
Nice.
So, yeah,
Perfect.
we're excited. All right. Well, you have a great rest of your day. Thank you, everybody, for joining.
Yeah.
Thank you, Kaya.
Nice seeing
Thank
you
you,
guys
everyone.
again.
Bye.
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 Okay, guys, we did good. I feel like
All
we,
right.
sorry,
Yep.
you caught me here. Let me pause this.